Hi, good morning, and welcome to our meditation on grace. Today is the 24th of February. I would like to read in Ephesians chapter 4, verse 14. So that we may no longer be children tossed to and fro and blown about by every wind of doctrine, by human cunning, by craftiness in deceitful scheming. So we are just trying to understand, trying to learn how we can not be like this little boat lost at sea, like a wave in the sea. And we saw that there are in the New Testament different words for the word child. There is one that is tender, that is good, that is nice, and we are that child of God. Jesus said that we should be like little children in and as we are dependent on him. But then Paul tells us that we should not be like a child in our understanding. We shouldn't be immature, but we should grow. And that's what we talked about yesterday. I would like to talk about the wave today. James chapter 1, verse 6. But he must ask in faith without doubting, for the doubter is like a wave of the sea, driven by the wind and tossed about. We are going through a tribulation here in James chapter 1. And Paul says that the tribulation will achieve for us perseverance. We are going to gain perseverance by going through that difficult time. And if we haven't understood what is going on, we can ask God for wisdom. But we should ask in faith without doubting. Because when we doubt of God's promises, we are like a wave at the sea that is driven by the wind and tossed about. And we should not be like that wave. Grace has been given us so we will know Christ and we will know the fullness of Christ. So we want to be like a wave. And in chapter 4, verse 14 of Ephesians, Paul is talking about understanding what is right and what is wrong. And if we are like a wave, like a child, we want to understand, want to have the understanding to realize that what we are following, what we are believing, is not from God. Judah has a terrible text for us today. Very important to know because we need it's for our own good that the Bible has given us this. Jude verse 11 to verse 13. Oh, to them, for they take the way of Cain and abandon themselves to the error of Balaam, for the sake of gain, and perish in the rebellion of Korah. These people are blemishes on your love feasts, feasting with you without reverence, caring only for themselves. They are waterless clouds swept along by winds, autumn trees without fruit, and uprooted completely dead. Wild waves of the sea, casting up their shameful deeds like foam, wandering stars for whom the gloom of utter darkness has been reserved for eternity. So these people, they come to the Christian parties, to the Christian meetings, but they are like waves. They are like wandering stars, he says here, like trees that never bear fruit. And darkness has been reserved for them for eternity. It's a very hard text, isn't it? But it is true that we need to understand the importance of knowing Christ and not living just for ourselves as these people here. He's talking about the people who came to the Christian meetings, but they were like children in their understanding of God, in their understanding of God's grace. They hadn't grown. They thought of themselves like a child. But it is normal for a child to think of themselves when they are little babies. But if a grown-up person is still behaving like a child, spiritually speaking, that's not normal. These people are completely lost, of course, because they are casting up their shameful deeds like foam, it says here. It's very poetic, isn't it? But it's a terrible description of a person that is like a wave and hasn't found the fullness of Christ. Hebrews chapter 10, verse 23. Let us continue to hold fast the hope that we confess without wavering, for the one who made the promise is faithful. So let us trust God. Let's trust this hope that God has given us. Paul says that our hope, we won't deceive us. Why? Because God has given us his love by his Holy Spirit. We have got God's love in us. We have got his Spirit in us. So we can be filled with Christ and not be like waves. God bless you.